Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel Let's Code for Fun, and welcome to the playlist The Wrong Way, where we see the good, bad and ugly way to do things. And today we are going to see a seemingly trivial SQL command, and we will discuss the good and the bad practices associated with it. So yes, let's get started. So today we are going to see how to update rows in a database table. Uh, Specifically, this example is for Postgres, but it would be more or less applicable to all the other databases. So if I have to update, let's say our problem statement is that I have to update the salary of all the employees in the sales department by 50%. Let's give them a generous 50% increment to all the people in the sales department who have a rating of greater than equal to 4. So yes, let's write the SQL query. So update employee, set salary equals salary times 1.5, where department equals and rating greater than equal to 4. Okay, so let's try to run this query. So as you can see, it says to updated to. Okay, this is fine, but is there a better way to do it? Answer is yes. So what we can do here is, see, instead of directly updating the salary, first of all we should have an idea of what all rows are getting affected. Okay, so we'll do the same thing. We'll keep the where clause as it is, but first of all we will do a select. So select star from employee and then the where clause. So what this will do is that first of all we'll get some idea of the rows that are going to get affected. So let's run this. So you will get this one that Arav Patel and Amrita Reddy, both of them are going to have their salary get affected. So let's update them. So we can write the same thing, like first of all we'll run this query and then we'll run this update. Okay, I think it already got updated. Yeah, so now let's try to run this query again, and we will see. Yeah, we'll see that their salary has been incremented by a huge amount, but this is still not very satisfactory, because what I would want to say is that after I update the table, I would need to let's say know which all rows got affected. Okay, so let's say that I would want to know which all row got affected, at least the primary keys. So what I can do is I can do returning ID and name. So in this way, okay, this time let's be a little generous to people in different department. So I'll say IT. Here also I'll say IT. First of all, let's run this command and see which rows will get affected. So only this ID4 name Ashwari area, this will get affected. Now then let's run this command. So as you can see that this did was it updated her salary, and now it returned the ID and the name. So we got a confirmation, like, right, the same this is the only person who got affected. So yeah, uh, this is good. This is good enough. But one more good practice which I want to associate is that I always start, whenever I start writing any SQL queries details, I don't write, like, let's say I don't write with select or update. Instead, I start writing it with the where clause itself. So because what will happen is that accidentally, if you write update employees set salary and then you accidentally press enter or run the query, but if you start writing with the where clause, you will at least have an idea that, okay, I'm first writing the condition and then I'm have to write the preceding statement. So let's try to write it like this. So with department equal IT and rating greater than equal 5, and now I will write my update or select statement or whatever. Okay, so yeah, this was these were the three fundamental improvements. There's one other very important, very significant improvement in the way you can update, which I will show. It is an architectural level improvement, because see, whenever you want to update, I would want to preserve the previous values too. So I would want to know that what were the, okay, let's now run this command first of all. Okay, let me just, so let's try to run this again. So now what I want to do is that for each of the update that I make, I want the whole entry to be stored in a different table. So let's say that I update uh, anything, not only salary. Let's say I update the age of Ashwarya Iyer. So I would want this whole thing to be logged in a different table. I would want multiple. So if I update this row, let's say row number 10 multiple times, so I would want, let's say if I update it like 4 times, so I would want 4 entries in a different table. Like let's say first time I update rating from 4 to 5, so I'd want to update that the initial rating was 4, now it's changed to 5. Let's say if I want to increment its salary in the next query, so for each of the query which I run, I would want to have a different row, but I would want to keep my original table as it is. So let's say how we can do it. So this process is actually called as auditing, and I have personally seen this done in production environment. So for this, we need to create another audit table. I will show you what it looks like. So I have copied this this query for this audit table, and I'll explain you what each of this column means. So this is the table name, and then you have this audit ID, this employee ID, and the new values, whatever the new values are there, and then like modified by who's the user who modified it. We will see how we can get these values, and then this modified at timestamp. So let's run this. So we'll execute this query. Okay, so now this query ran. Now what we have to do is that we have to set a trigger. So what a trigger would do is that every time, okay, let's run this again. Okay, so what this trigger would do is that every time this employee table is updated by the update statement, we would call that trigger, and that trigger would insert the rows in this table. So let's see how we can create a trigger. So again, I have copy pasted this uh, trigger. So what this does is that create or replace function employee audit trigger, returns trigger, and so these are all just syntax. So this is my procedure actually. This is not a trigger. So this returns a trigger, and then what we do is insert into employee audit, and what this will do is that employee ID, the new values, and modified by. Okay, and so these are the columns in the employee audit table where this will insert into, and what will be the values? The values will be the new.id, which means the new ID, and we are using a JSON column, so we will insert the whole data and the current user, and then we'll return the new. So yes, let's first of all run this. Okay, create. Okay, so this got created, and now let's try to add a trigger. So we can add trigger like this. Let me copy it. So create trigger, we created a trigger, and after update on employee, so every time update happens, just after the just after update happens, update query runs on employee. For each row that the update happens, we will execute this function, audit employee audit trigger. So let's run this. Let's create this trigger and run this. So yes, this trigger got created. Now let's try to update this table and see it in action. So first of all, okay, so first of all, let's try to run this query, sorry. And now let's try to see what do we have in the employee audit table. We won't be having anything, but still let's run this. So we see that there is nothing here. And now let's try to run the update query again, which we saw the last time. Update employee set, let's say salary equals salary times 1.2, where department equals IT, returning ID. So let's try to run this. Okay, so this got finished. So now we should see two uh, two queries actually, sorry, two rows inside this employee audit table. Let's see. Okay, so you can see that we have employee id 10 and employee id 4 and modified by user, and these were the new values. And now let's try to run the whole thing again, and you will see that again a new entry will be created. So let's try to run this, and let's try to verify again. As you can see that for Avnish Singhania and Aishwarya Iyer, we have two rows inside this table. So yeah, this was it. I hope you guys learned a lot from this video, and I'll keep updating this playlist. And thank you, and take care. Goodbye.